Hi and welcome to this week's video. Another very productive week, and the wings are almost completed on the top side. Still a little bit of fiddling and faffing to do, but you can see what I've been doing so far, so join me in the video. Come on there. Alright, I've got this door seal material, which is what I'm planning to use to create a rubber channel section like that, that will go around this metal strip over the top of the tank. So I need to cut it down. So what I've done is I've got a piece of the rib cap. I'm using a scalpel blade in the side, and that hopefully will give me a height system, making sure I don't have my fingers in line with the blade before should it break. I can just slide that around. It keeps a relatively constant height on the edge of the rubber with the blade. So that's my method, trying to find a piece of rubber to do the job with the right dimensions. I just didn't succeed at doing so. There we go, one side. This is the dodgier side. Not perfect, but there is some slight dips and troughs, but that will do. So I've measured this metal strip, marked in where I'm going to put a bend in for my and drill for my mounting bolts and their washer. Straight side, the width of the tank plus twice the thickness of the rubber, so it can wrap around, with a radius going down with a bend and cut off to be drilled there. And I'm allowing for about 6mm or so compression on the foam. So this is going to be about short by about 6mm from the top of the blocks, so that the screws will actually be pulling down and can compress that, but they won't actually meet at the end of the day. That's the idea. And I've made an allowance for the rubber going over the top of the tank, so lots of allowances being made. I'm just going to cut this off slightly long with the tip tips, mark, centre punch, drill and then bend, and I'll do that right the way across. And all I'm doing for the bends is I'm using bending bars. These bending bars, putting the metal in there, and then bending it around to create the folds where I want them to be. So there it is, all bent up. I've got the excess poking out each end here just a little bit, so just using my tin snips I can cut that off nice and easily. And then I can just trim the corners off those. I'll clean that up with a file just to get rid of any burrs. There's very little burr there. This cuts remarkably cleanly, this material. And drills as well, as long as you use the drill at a slow speed and light pressure, it cuts a very nice hole with virtually no burr at all, which is great. So now I've got that sorted out like that, I'll degrease this and prime it, ready to have the rubbers bonded on. So a few more to make and we'll be there. Well, the straps are in, the rubber U channel, it doesn't sit quite as nicely as I'd like it to. but it's glued onto the inner face of the straps there, so it's not going anywhere. It's stopping the chafing between the straps and the tanks. So all in all, it's fixed. So next section is to start building up the geodetic and just cutting out the sections of the ribs where they go over these straps. So I've got the strip wood all glued in place to create the geodetic structure over the tank. At the moment there'll be some fiddling to do at the front around the filler area yet. I've got a piece of wood going across here to set the height of the rib, and you can sort of see it's slightly packed at the moment to just put a little bit of pressure on the joint there. But all in all, that's sorted. Run out of clamps, so I can't do this side. And then I've just been doing the scarfing for the plywood, the 16th plywood, so 1/2 inch wide scarfed there. If you haven't seen how I do that, somewhere up here will be a little tab to go to for when I did it on the lower wing. So I've got one in the jig, just drying out, having been soaked, so it's ready to go. The ends here have been sanded so they're parallel to the false spar and rounded so they match the nose pieces on the end rib there. So I'll put the ply leading edge on, it'll conform back, and of course we've got to make up a section, the tip section as well. Well, there we've got the first section of leading edge being bonded on. As you can see, same method as I used for the lower wings bungees. I'm using these little clamps here just to hold it in between, which is good. And then we've got the geodetic structure over the fuel tank bonding on the starboard tank. Port 1 is just about finished over there. One thing I did, I put a slot in there for the band to go across. I didn't do it on the other side because there's just enough clearance there for it not to be there. And then I've got the next section of leading edge for the starboard inboard, just drying there. It's just drying there to ready to go on as soon as my bungees are all out of use on that side. And then we'll do the outboard sections after that. At the moment the temperature in the workshop is 30 degrees centigrade, so it's what I commonly call hot. And doing the leading edge work, the glue is so runny, it's yeah, there we go, 30 degrees and 44% humidity on my little thing there. So yeah, it's a bit chuffing warm. So there's my cardboard template cut for going around the filler. There's a slot in here which you'll see is lined up with the strip wood of the geodetic there. There'll be a packing piece underneath to bring that all up to the right height, but that then means that that joint can be glued and held with something as a backer, lining up with the rib there and there. It's giving me a 2-inch clearance all the way around, and this gap here will be filled by grommet strip material, rubber strip that you can feed in and around. And the idea behind this this slot bit is so you can actually, so to speak, unscrew the this piece for when I actually bond and fit it. So I need to put a packing piece in here. This will be reduced slightly in height. Packing piece to go in there, which will reinforce this strip, which had to be cut away to give a clearance here, so that will make that stronger, and the fact you've got the plywood on top will help it out. And there'll be packing piece going in here right the way across to a similar height to this, and that way that's all nicely dealt with. And the ply will also reinforce the joint on the front edge of the rib here, so should make quite a reasonable job for the covering to stick to, and hopefully quite neat once it's finished. That's it for this week. Fairly productive week. We've got 3/4 of the leading edge sorted out, the fuel tanks in, the geodetic structure over the top, and we're prepping up for the fitment of the plywood sections for the covering to join onto at some stage in the future. So just a little bit more, hopefully get that done next week. So bye now, look after yourselves. Cheers. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up. You can subscribe or even hit the little bell notification for future videos. Any comments would be appreciated, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Remember, go fly and feel the sky.